Welcome to A Leader's Journey, the podcast for leaders who deeply believe there is a better way to lead and desire to create their unique journey towards becoming a legacy leader. I'm your host, Shannon Hammond. Over the last 20 years as a corporate leader and leadership performance coach, I've learned that many leaders believe there is a predefined path they have to follow and struggle leaning into their unique gifts that will create lasting impact and fulfillment. They end up feeling stuck, unhappy, and unfulfilled in the day-to-day of their role, and are challenged with why, since they have experienced success in their career and in life. I'm here to help leaders think through their leadership journey, learn how to ask themselves better questions, and learn the formula to create their leadership journey by design. If you are ready to design your unique leadership journey, lead with confidence, and love the teams you lead, then you are in the right place. Let's do this. Hello, my friends and fellow leaders. Welcome to A Leader's Journey podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Hammond, and I'm glad to have you back here with me this week. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. I'm so happy that you are here. I know that your time is valuable, and I'm grateful you have chosen to spend some of it here with me today, and that you are taking the time to invest in your growth and development as a leader. This week, I am going to dive into a topic that may be a bit controversial for some, yet it's a topic that we need to talk about. It's one I've seen show up in leadership before, and perhaps it's just something I'm keenly aware of now, but I'm seeing it show up more frequently. And that's the topic of being a leadership bully. Yes, I said it, leaders can be bullies. Now, we've all heard of kids getting picked on in school and bullied. Perhaps you've even experienced it firsthand and were bullied as a child. I know I was, and I remember it clear as day, and it's something that will stick with me for the rest of my life. Not in an unhealthy way, but as a reminder of how it felt to be in that situation and something that I don't want to be as a leader or a human. Now, as a kid, I was picked on because of the color of my red hair. More of a strawberry blonde, to really be exact. I wasn't the only one in my class with that hair color either. And the funniest part, or not really funny, but the most ironic part of that story is that the ringleader of bullying me, she had the same hair color I did. Now, don't ask me why, because it makes no sense. Yet that is how it happened. It got so bad that my parents had to move so I would be able to go to another school. I was in first grade, and at the time, to say that that experience shaped how I made friends or didn't really is an understatement. The friends that I made, they were few and far in between. Yet they were the ones that I knew I could really trust and that they would have my back no matter what. As an adult now, I'm a little bit grateful for that experience because it did shape how deeply I value my friendships. It's quality over quantity for me, even now as an adult. I don't have a lot of friends, but the ones that I do have, they're true friends. They are ones that I know that I can count on that will be there for me. And they are ones that I want to be able to invest my time and my energy in. And if any of them was to call me today and say that they needed something, I would show up for them. That's the quality of the friendship that we have. Now, sadly, the same experience of being bullied does happen as adults. And unfortunately, it happens in the workplace. You would think that as we grew up, we would grow out of these behaviors. And in some ways, we absolutely do. And in most situations, most people absolutely grow out of it. Yet there are others that the mindset is still there and it shows up in their actions at work. Now, for most leaders, I don't think it's intentional. And when they're called upon it, the behavior gets fixed immediately because it was never how they intended their actions to come across or how they wanted to show up in that situation. Again, for others, that is unfortunately not the case. And they make the workplace an environment that people just don't want to be in anymore. Their teams dread coming to work, and the scuttlebutt around the office is that no one wants to work for that leader. And why would they if they know that that experience is not going to be a positive one? Now, in the workplace, bullying may not be making fun of the color of someone's hair, although it could be. There are other ways that leaders specifically can be a bully. And today I want to share a few of these ways with you, and how I have seen them show up in the workplace. So I have four of them that we're going to talk about today. And so we're just going to dive right in. The first one is throwing around your title or the title of somebody else. This is a leader saying something along the lines of, well, I may fill in the blank with their title, director, manager, VP, senior executive, whatever it is that you want to. It doesn't matter. Pick whatever title you want. It's really irrelevant what the title is. It's all in how it's used. If you are using your title or somebody else's to intimidate somebody, to manipulate a situation to get the result that you want, or because you think it makes you more important than others, then you are being a leadership bully. I've even heard a leader recently say, "Do you know who I am?" My initial thought was, well, of course, we're on the phone together, aren't we? Like, how it caught me a little bit off guard and it confused me. And then it hit me after I really thought about the tone that it was used. And after they kept talking, it was very apparent what they were really trying to say. They were trying to bully me into doing what they wanted by throwing out their title, even though they knew that what they were asking for was not the right thing to do. Their tactics didn't work, yet I know too often others are left feeling intimidated and like they can't do the right thing because of who's communicating with them. And when that comes from a person in a leadership role, you're making that person feel small, as if their opinion and their actions don't matter. One of my other favorite lines in this is, well, I'll just tell so and so, right? Like, and they throw out the name or the title of somebody above both people in that conversation, as if that person knowing what's going on is going to change the outcome. A title doesn't make a leader. Your title, in true honesty, means absolutely nothing to anyone other than your HR department, and they only use it so they can categorize your job so they know how much to pay you. And it's also an indicator in the company as to the work you do so others know what you do, but it doesn't make you any more important than anyone else in the organization. True leaders, they get their job done no matter what their title is, and they do it in a way that is respectful, that aligns with their values, and demonstrates care and concern for others. They don't need to intimidate, manipulate, or make themselves appear to be more important. All right, scenario number 2. It's leading by fear. And this is a common one that shows up sometimes in new leaders, and it kind of builds off of leveraging your title, but leading with fear, it can look like if you're trying to get things done in your team by making the people that you work with fear the outcome or the consequence of doing or not doing something. You are consistently painting the picture of the worst case scenario and then going and telling your team that if they don't do what's required, then this scenario may come through, right? That's leading with fear. That's putting fear into other people's minds, and then they're making decisions based off of fear, again, of the outcome or the consequence of it. This gets you nowhere as a leader, except having a team who does nothing without your permission or approval and who's constantly walking on eggshells. So they're afraid to make decisions. They're afraid to take actions. They're always going to be hesitant. They're probably not showing up and having a lot of conversation. If you look at your one-on-ones, if your team isn't talking a lot in them, you might be leading with a little bit of fear, right? So something to dig into. But leading with fear really does shut down the actions, the innovation, and the thought processes of your team. All right, scenario number 3. Reminding your team that they are replaceable or lucky to be there. Now, these two things very well may be true. At the end of the day, we are all replaceable. And when we leave our role, someone is going to come behind us. This is a fact, and it's how we got the jobs that we have. Someone left the role and we got hired. We are also lucky to be working where we do, regardless of the job that you have. Not everyone has a job, or maybe they don't have the skills, the experience, or the knowledge to have the job that you do. We are always ahead of someone in our careers, and we are always behind others. This is just part of life and part of having experiences, and it's just the evolution of work. Leaders don't need to be reminding their teams of these things or stating it often. In the current economy, do I feel lucky to have a job? I absolutely do. Do I need to hear that from my leader? No, I do not. I'm an adult and I can see what is happening in the world. There are a lot of people that are losing their jobs. I am not one of them right now, and I'm grateful for that. But do I need to be told that I'm lucky to have a job? No, I don't need to hear it. I can see it and I can do the math to understand and be grateful for what it is that I have. Now, I do want to say that there is a difference in expressing gratitude and being a jerk. If you're expressing gratitude, then maybe those statements that we're lucky to have jobs, maybe they're a right fit for that part of the conversation. If you're trying to share that gratitude, then the statement might be appropriate. I would just caution you as a leader, when you say something, it carries a different tone and message, even though it may not be your intent, it does, and you have to be aware of that. Now, if you are using them and you're just trying to intimidate others or be a jerk, keep it to yourself. Nobody needs to hear it. Oh, and one other thing, you need to start thinking about whether or not leadership is right for you if these two statements are part of your leadership toolbox or you're using them often. Because if you're constantly out there telling people that they're replaceable or that they're lucky to have jobs, leadership is not the right fit for you. All right, scenario number 4 that might be an indicator you are being a leadership bully is using the reason of it's a business decision to justify your actions. Oh, this is one that really gets under my skin. Now, I do want to preface this with saying that as a leader, there are business decisions you are going to have to make. It's part of the job. And there are going to be times when you can't fully share the reasons behind that decision with your direct reports or others. This is a part of business. There is a who needs to know list for everything that happens in the corporate world and in business. And if you're not on it, there are things you are just not going to know. And as a leader, you need to be able to keep those things confidential. That's called demonstrating respect, being a trusted leader, and you have to keep confidential the things that need to be kept confidential. We've all heard the statement of what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Well, what happens in the boardroom in a company often has to stay in the boardroom. Now, on the other hand, I see leaders using the reasoning of a business decision because they have no other way to explain what they did. It's a cop-out and a lame excuse. It's like picking other from a list of choices and then not filling in the blank to say why you picked other. They're using it as a way to avoid confrontation, to forsake accountability in their actions, to make themselves look good, and sometimes to not have to make the tough decisions that leaders quite honestly get paid to make. As a leader, job number one is to develop the people around you. And while you don't have to explain everything that you do, there are times when you do owe your team members an explanation. For example, your team member is put through the ringer by a client or internal partner for a decision that they made, and that decision is in alignment with policy and is exactly what they were expected to do in that situation. That situation then gets to you, and you override or change their decision. At that point, you owe them an explanation why. And it being a business decision doesn't cut it. Remember, job number one is to develop the people around you. So how can you develop them if you don't coach them through decision-making and critical thinking skills? If you have a great team member, they are going to want to know what they can do to get a different result the next time that that situation comes up and how they can prevent it from escalating and the agency they have within their role to make decisions. If you just say it's a business decision, you're telling them their efforts don't matter and that you are not invested in their growth, you're not supporting their work, and you're taking away an opportunity for them to win. You can always find a way to elaborate and share additional context behind your decision with your team member. In 20 years of leadership, there isn't a single decision that I made, or if I've overrode or changed a decision that my team member made, that I couldn't coach them through how I got to that decision. It could be as simple as stating, this is a critical client relationship to our business, and we need to get creative when issues arise because this client is referring a lot of business to us. So next time you have a situation like this or a similar one that comes up, let's connect on it first and let's talk through options and how we can explore ways that might cause us to have to paint outside the lines a little bit, but where we can meet the client where they're at without compromising the needs of our business. It could also be something like there was an error, or maybe it's a big issue that happened in another department that has absolutely nothing to do with your group, but it happened over there, and they also support that client. And we needed to find a way to meet in the middle and make up for our partner department and help support our partner department in it and make up for the error that they had with the client. We're going to give this one to the client and we're going to make a concession here. Or we need to partner with our team in helping make sure that we can save the relationship with the client. Some of the decisions that you make in your department, they may have absolutely nothing to do with your department. That's just how it happens, and you got to work together in order to repair those client relationships. If you have a great employee, they're fully going to understand either of those situations. And they will want to make sure that they're doing their part in partnering with their coworkers to rebuild the client's trust and confidence. I never get pushback in either of those situations. Yet it's all about being transparent, being honest, coaching my employees, and finding the opportunity for them to get a win. It's important to them. They want to know that they are doing the right thing. And if you're constantly overriding your employees' decisions and you're saying, well, it's a business decision, they're going to feel defeated, frustrated, and they're not going to want to come to work anymore. Partner with them, help them see how there is a different path forward and where it is that you guys can work together in some of those situations. And sometimes it just very well may be that, hey, we made a business decision that we're going to allow this one time. And here's the 3 other things that were a piece of that, right? Maybe it's we've had a lot of mistakes in the past with that client. There could be a whole bunch of other things. You just need to have that honest conversation with your team member. Okay. Clearly that one speaks to my heart, so I'm just going to leave it there. You can give some coaching and explanation for everything that you do. Don't hide under business decision as your reasoning. All right. These are just 4 ways in which a leader can show up as a bully in the workplace. There are many others that we can cover, but I think you get the point in what it is that I'm trying to share today. Being a leader is a privilege and one we should never take lightly. How you show up as a leader, it has a direct impact on your employees and how they show up at their dinner table that night with their family. Do you want them showing up defeated, frustrated, beat down? Or do you want them showing up confident, joyful, and proud of the work they've done that day? The choice is yours as a leader, and how you show up every day impacts how your employees are showing up with their family. I hope that you found this episode valuable today and that you learned a few ways how not to show up as a leader. I appreciate you tuning in with me this week, and I would love for you to tune in with me each week as we discuss the strategies, development actions, and mindsets that new leaders can leverage to step confidently into the right leadership roles for them. Until next time, my fellow leaders, lead with confidence, show up every day as a leader that you are striving to be, and make the decision today to level up your leadership. Thanks for listening to A Leader's Journey podcast. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you're excited to learn more, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and tune in next week for another exciting leadership lesson. I'd love to help you level up your leadership, achieve the goals you desire, and design your unique leadership journey. So click the link in the show notes to schedule a free Level Up Your Leadership session. During this time, we will define where you are in several key areas of leadership, where you desire to be, and how you can level up your leadership. You don't need to do this alone, so let's chat today and get your journey started. Don't forget to connect with me on LinkedIn or in the A Leader's Journey community on Facebook, and share this episode with another leader so we can all learn and grow together. That's all for this episode, and I'll see you next week. Until then, lead with confidence, show up every day as the leader you are striving to be, and make the decision today to level up your leadership this year.